every time I try to stream, I have some kind of problem. Had to cut the last one short. I don't know why. YouTube was saying I was having some kind of connection issue, so we're just gonna chill for a second, see if we can get some people back in here. If you can see what I'm doing and there's no glitches, leave a comment. Otherwise, I'll just wait for people to hop in and start asking questions. Hey, Ben, what's up? All right, so hopefully it doesn't glitch out this time. I don't know why. Every time, this is the annoying thing. Like, bro, every time I want to live stream, it's kind of like nerve-wracking, right? Like, I get really nervous before. I don't know why, right? And then, like, I go to stream, and then, like, YouTube cuts it out. It glitches out. I got to, like, redo it. I feel like a damn amateur. So I'm glad we were able to get it started, though. So let me pop out this chat so it's super easy for me to respond to you guys. Anyone who watches Zero Fidelity's live streams, you guys know he has a hard time keeping up with the comments. And it is hard, honestly, unless you pop it out. So I got it popped out now. Let's see. Ben, what's up? You're saying you're back. I appreciate that. Hey, Richard McCoy, better so far. Let's hope it stays better, right? Ben's asking, how's life? Life is good, honestly. It's summertime. It's starting to heat up again. I like that. Me and my friends like to go boating a lot in the summertime. I don't own a boat, but listen, guys, if you have a friend that goes boating, go boating with them. It is such a good time, and it is always better to be a passenger on a boat than to own a boat, because those things, man, I'm sure a couple of you guys might own a boat. The maintenance cost is insane. So again, much better to be a passenger on a boat, which I am, and it's a good time. Aside from that, I've had a string of bad luck with my car. I've had it for like 6 years now, and I've been trying to like breathe some life back into it. So I took the wheels off. I tried to get them refinished. The color didn't turn out right. I got the brake calipers redone. The color didn't turn out right. I took it in to get the pads redone, and the mechanic chipped the paint on my brake calipers, and it's just been one thing after another. But those are quality problems, Ben. By all means, I'm not complaining. Larry, was wondering when I'd see you again. Sorry, Larry. I know there was no video this week or last week. In the summertime, I do get pretty busy just, doing life and, trying to just have fun with my friends, go out, be social and all that kind of stuff. So there are times in the summertime that I won't post a lot of content. Last year, I think I did pretty well at posting a lot of content in the summertime, but something you guys probably wouldn't know is most of that content was pre-recorded. At the beginning of summer, I think I sat down for like a day or two and I filmed something like 6 or 7 videos. So, and then I just like uploaded them and scheduled them. So I didn't have to film last summer, almost the entire summer, because I had gotten it all out of the way early on. I'm gonna lower my chair. I feel like I'm all up high. That's better. Actually, it kind of, whatever, who cares? Let's see what else we got in the comments. Sean says, what's up? What's up, Sean? Joan says, you disappeared, but I am here. Thank you, Joan. Yeah, we had some glitches on the stream just like 5 minutes ago. I had to restart it. Ben is saying, what's up with Sean? You asking about Sean from Zero Fidelity? What do you mean in particular? Because there's a lot of things up with him. We are friends. We do talk often, but if you just want a general what's up with him, I don't think you guys want to hear me rehash a play-by-play on what's going on with his life. But if you got a specific question and it's not too private, I'll try to answer. Ed, what's up, man? Mr. T, I am so tempted to buy a pair of used Harbeth Super HL5 plus 40th anniversaries. Anyone of you heard them? I have not heard them. Harbeth is a brand I actually don't have much experience with. Hold on, guys. I'm going to raise my seat up again. I lowered it, and now I feel like it's too low. All right. Yeah, Mr. T, love your screen name, by the way, but I have not had the pleasure of hearing Harbeths yet. Richard, your goal this year should be to definitely find a larger house so we can get that review on the special 12s you have in your house. So that is a goal. I'm linked up with a realtor right now. About every other weekend, we're starting to look at other properties. I am trying to get into a bigger home. Right now, I live in a condo that's 3 floors. It's not super big. I live in Southern California where it's hard to get a property that's large. Like my home is about like 1,750 square feet or so. And for those of you guys that live in the Midwest, you're like, man, that's tiny. But in Southern California, I mean, just to give you an idea, in my neighborhood, if you want a single family home, figure 2,200 square feet, you better get ready to pull out about 1.5 million, maybe 1.6 million. It's terrible, but I'm thinking about moving a little bit more inland, getting something maybe a little older, maybe 3,000, 3,500 square feet or so. We'll see what happens. It's tough to find a home that has a good room that can be dedicated to audio. The realtor came over to my house already here, and I showed her my listening room so she could see what's important to me. I tried to teach her what to look for, and she was actually pretty keen. She picked up on it pretty quickly, and she's like, okay, so you want more rectangular, nothing too small, nothing square, nothing cube shaped. And I was like, exactly. I even sat her down and played some songs for her. So we'll see if she could find me a home that I like the layout of, I like the neighborhood, and it has at least one or two good rooms that can be turned into good dedicated listening rooms. Larry says, is Sean going to post again anytime soon? Dude, I don't know, Larry. I bust Sean's balls all the time about not posting content. Because I'm a part-time reviewer. I've got a full-time job, and Zero Fidelity, that was he doesn't have a 9 to 5. That's how most reviewers are. They don't have a 9 to 5. And I make fun of Sean all the time when we have phone calls. I'm like, bro, I work 40 hours a week, and I'm still cranking out on average a video a week. What's going on? Get to it. And he's always got some excuse, and I bust his balls for it. As a friend, you know what I mean? But to be honest with you, I think he's gotten a lot of it off his chest in live streams before. I think he's done it for a long time. And I think he's at the stage right now where he's just kind of trying to chill for one reason or another. You know what I mean? His heart's not in it. And that's not uncommon. Anyone who's had a job for 5 to 7 years, most people start to not burn out, but around the 5 to 7 year mark of doing something, whether it's marriage or a job or whatever it may be, it's some people lose their passion a little bit. And I'm not saying Sean has lost his passion per se, but I know he doesn't love sitting down in front of a camera and filming and recording and editing. I know he doesn't love that part of it. All right, where'd I leave off? Another person asking about Sean. I wish Sean would return to YouTube. Trust me, bro, I know when we talk on the phone, I tell him, I'm like, bro, you still have fans, you still have subscribers, you still have an audience that cares about your opinion. Because I see it in my Discord, I see it in the comments section of my videos. I mean, look at this live stream. This is a Nemo Propaganda live stream, and we're talking about Zero Fidelity. I'm one of his fans, you know what I mean? I was a fan of his content before I had my own channel. And I tell him all the time, bro, the people want to see you come back. But the reality is he's got to want to do it, Where'd I leave off? Blues Doctor is asking, do you think you'll review the Wharfdale Super Dentons? Probably not, because I don't have a line of communication open to Wharfdale. I don't have any way to get a review sample. I don't know anyone that works there. I suppose I could try sending them an email, but that very rarely gets a response that is positive. I've had very bad luck simply just emailing companies. We'll see, you know what I mean? I don't know how to say your name, brother, so I'm just going to call you Bardo1. You're saying, if you're going inland, why not just move to Texas or some other low-tax state where you can get way more house for the money? Honestly, bro, Texas is cool. I've had friends move to Texas and for $500K get a heater of a house that's just real nice. But I don't need to go that far inland. I have family out here. I'm not super young and I'm not super old. I just turned 41, so I'm at that age, right, where my family, my mom, my aunties, my uncles, they're all a lot older. And I don't know how many more years they've got. My mom's 71, and she's the middle child between all my aunts and uncles. So I don't want to sound grim, but you know what I mean? They might start falling off in the next few years. And if I can be a little closer to them, I figure why not? You know what I mean? I could always move to Texas later, but I got a big friend group down here. I'm plugged in with a lot of people. I love my life in Southern California. I could sit here and find a lot to complain about in Southern California, but I'll tell you this, dude, and I don't want to get too political, man. It's not like what they show you on the news. Like on the news, they make it seem like it's a certain way, and it's not. It's very exaggerated. Now there are some just absolute junk parts of Southern California that are terrible, but those parts have always been terrible. Think Oakland, for example. Oakland's been a shithole for 20 years. Yeah, there's a lot of crime. Yes, crime's on the rise in Oakland. It has been for a long time. You know what I mean? What else we got? Ben is saying, I think Cheap Audio Man is burnt out as well. I don't know. I saw him at Axpona. We talked, but we didn't really talk about like content or YouTube or anything like that. Has he been making less content? I mean, I know he was doing at least 2 videos a week for quite a while. And just fun fact, most of us reviewers, we don't watch a lot of each other's content for one reason or another. I'll watch like a Cheap Audio Man video once every now and then. I'll watch an Andrew Robinson or a Jay Iyagi's. Thomas and Sarah doesn't really post too much anymore. I'll watch one of Shane Lee's videos every now and then. But for the most part, I don't think most of us reviewers watch all of each other's content. Just the stuff that's like we're super curious about for one reason or another. But I didn't notice if Randy slowed down, but I wouldn't blame him. He's been going hard in the paint for a few years now. Joan says, I use my basement for audio and my mini home theater. Dude, I'm jealous. I wish I had a basement. That's one of the things I told the realtor. I'm like, hey, if you could find a house with a basement, that would be super awesome. But they're just not that common out here in SoCal. But for those of you that have basements, I mean, I've seen some wicked home theater builds in basements. There's actually, I know a few guys that are more inland that have like shooting ranges in their basement, which is just awesome. Bard saying, makes sense. Live in La Jolla a few years and I still regard it as one of the high points in my life. Yeah, bro. I mean, look, we could sit here and complain about California a lot, but like the weather really is freaking awesome. The food selection is off the charts. Look, I travel a lot for work. I've been to maybe 20 countries or more. I've been to like at least half the states. A lot of places have good food, don't get me wrong, but Southern California being the melting pot that it is, dude, I don't care what kind of food you want. California has it in its top tier. You want Vietnamese food? Boom, you got it. You want some Korean barbecue? You can get it. You want Japanese barbecue? You can get it. And yes, there's a huge difference between Korean barbecue and Japanese barbecue. Anything you want, Indian food. People talk about, oh, England is known for its Indian food. Bullshit. Southern California Indian food is 10 times better than England's Indian food. And I got no beef with England. I was born there. I'm just saying their food is not good, even their Indian food. Always Pushing says, I absolutely love your thoughts on Familia. Almost exactly where I am with my dad, aunts and uncles in Michigan. Yeah, I mean, it's what matters to each of us, right? I mean, some people are different, and no hate to anyone. Not everyone's going to be super close with their family. And to be honest, I'm not super close with my family. I'm not necessarily a mama's boy. I don't see my aunties and uncles a whole lot, but they love me and I love them, and they do matter to me. I was late in learning the lesson of how important family is in life. I didn't understand how important family was until I was about 30 years old. Until then, I was a young punk who didn't care much for the family unit. I thought it was overhyped, but when I was 30, it kind of clicked for me, Donald S., you're trying to start problems, bro. Donald, you're trying to start problems with this loaded question. What is your thought on what Tecton Speakers did to Aaron's audio corner and threatening to sue because of his reviews? You know what, Donald? lucky for you, I don't shy away from loaded questions. I don't mind them. Look, I'm happy to give you my opinion. And I hope you don't feel like I'm trying to evade the question, because I'm not. But these are my honest thoughts. I met Aaron at Axpona, by the way. Super cool. Dude is jacked, bro. He's got some good biceps. He's definitely in the gym. Eric from Tecton. I don't know him personally, but I've met a lot of people in my life, and I believe none of us are particularly unique. I think we are in some ways, but I think in a lot of ways we're all more similar than common. And I think most people can be shoved in one category or another, myself included. And Eric has always struck me as someone who is a bit emotionally immature. And I don't mean that disrespectfully. I was emotionally immature for quite a while. Some of this stuff in life is tough. We don't stop learning till the day we die. Hopefully, if you're putting effort towards it. And when one is emotionally immature, they are going to struggle with having good, clear, honest communication. They're going to be overly reactive. They're going to not necessarily be short-tempered, because a lot of people may or may not be short-tempered, and I think that's just a personality trait and not necessarily correlated with emotional maturity. But yeah, I think it was wrong of him, dude, but I could see his perspective. I feel like Eric might have just kind of had a panic and didn't feel like the ball was in his court, and might be a bit of a power tripper, might have some control issues, and, just kind of had a freak out and didn't handle it well. And the reason I say he's emotionally immature is I think the man's in his mid 50s or so, and I expect better. You know what I mean? I expect better from someone that age. I expect you to be further on in your ability to communicate clearly and courteously with others. So I don't think it was cool what he did. You know what I mean? I'm sure you noticed I've never reviewed a Tecton product. I had the chance to, and I decided I didn't want to, because I knew the dude was emotionally a little bit sensitive, and I generally don't do well with that personality type, because I'm a little abrasive with my personality, and I know that about myself. All right, that's enough about Tecton. What else we got for questions? Robert says, basement in Cali can be a death trap in an earthquake. It depends how well it's built. It depends. Suwat says, hey, sweetie, what's up, brother? Special shout out to Suwat. This homie drove me around like a lot when I was out at Expona. He was there too, and he drove around me and Jay, and we went out and got some food. We went to a heavy metal cafe of all places. Food was mid, but the vibe, 2 thumbs up. Pretty good. Their sound system, though, could have used some improvement. Blues Doctor says, cheap audio man doesn't seem burnt out. He seems happy to be doing his thing. Again, I couldn't comment. When I talk to Randy somewhat infrequently, maybe once every few months. I'll just shoot him a text saying hi. He'll text me back. We'll chat just about how we're doing, and we almost never talk about audio. It's just kind of a general like man-to-man check-in, and he's always seemed like he's doing well when I talk to him. But I don't watch enough of his content to kind of theorize or guess his mental state. And I don't think that's a good habit to have anyways. I don't think it's a good idea to guess how people are doing, unless he said something. If Cheap Audio Man has expressed verbally something, then fair, by all means fair. But every time I chat with him, the dude is in good spirits, and he's generally a very positive human being. Richard McCoy says, I'm still emotionally immature, and that's putting it lightly. You know what, Richard? I know you were joking, but I'll say this. So you know what the difference is between crazy people and people who aren't crazy? Because I think everyone's a little crazy, but the people that are really crazy don't know it. But the people that are like, sometimes you think to yourself, damn, I'm kind of crazy, or damn, I kind of overreacted. Like, that's normal. That's good. That's emotional intelligence. You're catching yourself. If you know you have some emotional growing to do, you're not as emotionally immature as you may think. Because the peak of emotional immaturity is that the whole thing is a blind spot to you. you have no idea how far behind you are in your ability to communicate effectively with others. You think everyone else is an asshole. You think you're communicating clearly. You think your emotional reactions are just and fair and correct, and everyone else just can't handle it. You know what I mean? I think we've all met someone like that in their life. They'll generally say stuff like, I just keep it real and people can't handle it. And it's like, no, you lack tact. You know what I mean? You're overly expressive without giving any second thought to what you say, and you offend people everywhere you go. That is not keeping it real. You know what I mean? But I know you were just kidding, though. No one's asking about audio, so I got to be long-winded with my answers to the general questions. Ace of Spades, can you shoot a text to Sean to let him know his Zero Fidelity viewers are waiting for the reviews he promised us back in February? He's got to clear his house of all the stuff he's holding on to. I can't text him right now because I'm using my phone for the live stream, but I'll do you a solid. I'm going to shoot him an email right now because I have his personal email. So hold up. I'm doing it, bro. Like, your wish is my command, bro. You want me to bust his balls? I'm happy to bust Sean's balls any day of the week. I'm going to title it Live Stream Complaints is in the subject field. Sorry for the loud keyboard, guys. We've got to keep it real with these blue switches. I'm a big fan of the tactile feedback. All right, I started it. Hey, fucker, I'm doing a live stream. The people want to know where you're at and where the hell the content is that you promised them back in Feb. The people want answers! Exclamation points. Send. All right, that's the best I could do. I sent it. All right, let's see where I left off. Bard01 is asking, did Jay get any equipment stolen from his car in the parking garage at Expona this year? Not this year, but a few years ago that did happen. That was terrible. That's such bad luck. It really is. Blah, looks like you retracted your message. All right. Feel free to retype it. Always Pushing says, what's your thoughts on the cheap amps that keep popping up? Fozzy, Aima, Topping, Duke, to name a few, versus traditionals. This new V3 mono price versus mono blocks, any Motiva and Outlaw. You know, bro, Always Pushing, I do have an opinion on that because while I haven't reviewed a lot of the cheap little Class D amps, I've heard a lot of them. I've been sent quite a few of them. Some of those smaller companies, they just send review samples blind. They don't even like email you. Not a lot, but it does happen. So I'll check them out, and sometimes I just like throw them away because I don't want to review them. Look, some of the inexpensive amps have gotten quite good. The RSL IA 255.1, beautiful. 2 thumbs up for $110. The sound quality is really good. I really like that amp. That's my personal recommendation in that really cheap category. The rest of them are really hit or miss. The problem is most people's feedback you're going to get online that say these amps are good, they don't have a whole lot of experience a lot of the times. Most people are going to say the thing I own is the best thing. It's really common in like the car hobby. Like if you ask someone like, what's the best coilover kit for a Honda Civic, like everyone's going to tell you the one they bought and why the one they bought is better. The truth is most of the inexpensive little Class D amps can get pretty loud, and if that's what you're looking for, they can do that. Most of them don't have shit for refinement. They're fairly gritty or brittle or brash on the top end. They just don't have the treble refinement. But if you pair them with a speaker that's dark and not too resolving, something like a Hecko Aurora 300 or CSS Crichton 1TD, not the X version, or you're going to have fantastic sound even with one that's kind of crappy because those speakers aren't too picky with a refined top end. But the RSL IA 255.1 is good. It's really good. That's like the only one that I'd say I think can compete with like a $500 full-size amp. but most of them can't. Most of them are coming out of the same build house as the reality in China. There's like one company that makes most of these. They all come in the same chassis. RSL actually designed the IA255.1 themselves. It's not made by Fosse. It's not made by Duke. It's not made by some random Chinese build house. RSL has an engineer that works for them that designs their stuff. It's their own unique circuit design. It's their own setup. And I think that's why it sounds better than most. All right, where did I leave off? And always pushing just real quick, and just for anyone, look, if all you can afford is a really inexpensive amp, I'm not dogging anyone. Like, I was super broke at one point in my life, so I hope by me saying like most of these amps essentially end, I'm not like dissing anyone. Like, we all buy what we can afford, and there's nothing wrong with that. When I started, when I first moved out to where I'm at right now, my first sound system was a set of $100 speakers and an amplifier I got on sale for 170 bucks. Actually, no, it was $80 from Parts Express. It was one of those cheap Class D amps. Richard says, Nemo, I know you're into boats, so you'll probably know the answer to this. What's the best boat? Dude, it really depends what kind of boating you're into. Are you trying to boat like in a lake? Are you trying to boat in the ocean? Or are you trying to boat like more in a river? And the three are different. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're boating more like in a marsh or like a river where it's kind of shallow, you're going to want like a smaller jet boat. If you're more on a bigger lake, you're going to want, something like a 26, 30-foot cat perhaps. And if you're on the ocean, you're going to want like a Big Daddy center console V-bottom. It's a lot like audio, where it's what are you trying to do and how much are you trying to spend, dude? Because you can get a boat for as little as $5,000, and you can get boats for millions and millions and millions of dollars. Oh, damn. It was a joke. Richard's answer is somebody else's boat is the best boat. Yeah, that is correct. Yamil says, love your content. I'm also on your Discord. What do you think about mini DSP products? Greetings from Colombia. Hey, what's up, man? I heard in Colombia you guys put cheese in your coffee. Is that true? I gotta know. Sounds crazy, but someone told me about that. Mini DSP, I bought one. I messed with it. Wasn't for me. But this is my thoughts on DSP overall. A mini DSP can be a very powerful and beneficial tool if your room needs it and if it's set up properly. Luckily, my room doesn't have a lot of issues, so I don't need to use a DSP. Most tweaks in audio, whether it's room treatment or a DSP, they're trade-offs, right? So what a lot of people describe, but what a mini DSP can do is fix a lot of issues, but it could take some of the life out of your mid-range. It could take some of the soul out of your music. But if your room has so many issues that it sounds terrible, and a mini DSP can solve like 90% of them, by all means, do it. They're inexpensive to buy. It's free for you to mess with it and experiment once you own it. So I encourage it. If your room has issues, by all means, do it. It's not for me, but it might be for you. Ace of Spades says, I settled on a pair of Rhythmic LV12Ms based upon your review. So happy thus far. Thus far? You're getting real biblical with the writing on the SQ and the output from the ported subs. Crazy value for the price. Yeah, look, guys, I've said it before. Rhythmic subs, if you're in the USA, it's peak value. The sound quality to output ratio, I mean, there's nothing like it, really. It is peak value. We're really lucky here. Neil says, did you get a chance to look at that Sublime acoustic analog active crossover? Yeah, bro, I looked it up. I've seen, I can't remember what my beef was with it. I can't remember if it was expensive or if it wasn't what I thought, but I did look it up. Wheelbase Media says, you said you're into cars, so what are you into? Exotics, Pro Touring, Classics, 90s, JDM Legends, what's your daily? I was deep into the JDM life for a long time. I had a few modded out JDM cars. The last one was a 96 Civic hatchback. I had a B16B swapped in there. I turbocharged it. I blew it up, ditched the B16B block for a B16A block with LS pistons, ended up making it reliable. It ran like I'll be honest, I could never run faster than 12.3 because of wheel spin, but it was putting down something like, I want to say 430 horsepower. And if you're a Honda guy, this won't surprise you. 430 horsepower, only 260 pounds of torque. And I was running that thing up to about 8,800 RPM. That car was a lot of fun. It was mostly clean. Like I had the JDM thin side molding, 99 front end. I had JDM Recaro seats, the SRDs. Like I love that car, man. I really did. These days, I'm a little bit older, dude. I can't be daily driving like a 96 Honda Civic anymore. I have a 2018 Audi S7. I've owned it since it was new. I kept the mods pretty light on this one. It's just lowered on a set of 21-inch Velos wheels, two-piece. I got a air ride controller to control the factory air ride, and I got it wouldn't be JDM anymore, it'd be EDM, I suppose, front license plate delete, and that's about it. Obviously, I added a sub to it. But yeah, look, do I like exotics? Yeah, but like, I don't have 500K to buy a car. You know what I mean? I did consider picking up like a secondhand Audi R8. You can get some of the first gen ones for like 80, 90K. But what a lot of people don't know about that car is the first generation, the transmission was dog shit. It shifted so hard. It was so sluggish. The thing was a dog. It was terrible to drive. Always pushing says I'll check out the RSL amp. Yeah, do it, bro. It's really good. It was so good. Like after the review, I emailed them and I was like, hey, I want to buy this. I want to keep it here as kind of like a reference piece for how good a cheap amp could be. Ed says to get the Crichton TD1s in Germany, it's 1,600, and with the better crossover, it's 2K. Ed, is that for the kit or is that for an assembled finished speaker? Because if it's for an assembled finished speaker, it's still high, but it could be worth it. If it's just for the kit, oof, that's a little bit too much. I can't say this name. To Madam, I'm Madam too. That's a crazy name. Have you heard the shit tears? Looking to get back to gutsy Class AB for CSS Typhons. I haven't heard the tiers. Shit is one of those companies that's kind of hard to work with. I reviewed their records. I sent them the video. The girl that got the email, she responded and was like, cool, thanks. I'll like show the rest of the team. And I never heard anything from them after that. My guess is they're a company that sells their products well enough and they don't need a YouTube reviewer, especially a smaller one, to review their products. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's okay. You know what I mean? Not every company needs YouTube reviews. Nell says hi-fi on a catamaran would be sick. A lot of people do sound systems on the lake, bro. Most boats have like $5,000+ sound systems. At least where I boat, it's pretty common. Almost everyone does JL. JL kind of like runs the marine audio game. Emil says, yes, the thing about coffee and cheese, LOL. Not my thing though. Okay, so it is true. Okay, good to know, good to know. Mike says, do you have a Bucart sub 10 yet? I don't. While, Mads is super cool and he has shown me a lot of love despite my channel being really small. He knows I'm a big fan of his products, so he's always happy to send me a review sample. But the reality is Zeos always gets dibs from Z Reviews because let's be honest, dude, Bucart was a tiny company until Zeos reviewed their products. Zeos's first few reviews of Bucart audio is really what put them on the map for most of us. I learned about Bucart by watching Zeos's reviews. And Mads is one of those guys that doesn't forget where he came from. So when he launches a new product and doesn't have a lot of review samples, Zeos gets it first, and I respect that. There's nothing wrong with that. So I won't get a review sample until they're in production, basically around the time production models from the pre-order start shipping for customers that bought them. That's around the time I'll get a review sample. Billy the Stalker, the best boat is the one you just sold. Not always, but I know what you mean. I've had seller's remorse many times. Email says, yes, the thing about coffee. Okay, I already read that one. Sorry. Hi from Pasadena. Feel you on the housing prices. Yeah, yeah, brother. Pasadena's up there. Yeah. And some of the houses out there aren't even like in good shape. Some of them aren't even all that big and they want dumb money for them. Donald says, I have access to a JB4 for your S7. Do it. You know, bro, I did have it tuned at one point. I actually have a flash I could throw on there at any time. I 3 months into owning the car, I tuned it and it was making something like 600 plus. About 550 horsepower and about 600 torque. And like the part throttle response was pretty crappy. It would kind of like stutter a little bit. And that was a big complaint a lot of people had. Most tunes for the S7 seem to do that for one reason or another. And I didn't care like enough. Like it's already a twin turbo V8. It already makes 450 horsepower and 450 pounds of torque. Like, and that's at the wheels. You know what I mean? Like most turbo cars are very like underrated. Like same with BMW M4s. Like they're rated at 425 crank and they put down, I think the 2017 models, and they'll put down 425 on a Dynajet too. I I don't want to deal with any drivability issues from the tune, and I guess that's just me getting old, man. Like the 450 horsepower is plenty fast enough for me. Ed says, kit without MDF. Oh my God, without the flat pack? Bro, that's a really high price. I would not do that. To bring you guys up to speed, Ed was saying in his country, here to get the Crichtons in Germany, $1,600, 1,600 euro is what he said. And then with the upgraded crossover, it's 2,000, and that's without the flat pack parts only. Oh my God. Ed, I'm sorry to hear that, bro. That's a lot of money. They're great speakers, and they do punch above their weight, but I'm not sure I would spend 1,600 to 2,000 euro and still need to spend another few $100s on, a cabinet. I'm not sure I would do that. I think if I were you, I'd look into buying something like the Triangle, the ones in the thumbnail of the Comet 40th anniversaries, Cap R3 Metas. I would consider just buying a good finished speaker. Mono Maria Moarki Mu Nikitria Survivor. That is the longest name I've ever seen. Holy crap. I'm going to try to say that again. Mono Maria Moarki Mu Nikitria Survivor. Bro or sis, that name is wild. Why is your screen name so long? That's crazy. Wheelbase Media says, sweet on the RS7. Love that slippery styling. Funny, you should mention the R8. I have a 2008 in Suzuka Gray, but with the fabulous gated manual. I also have a turbo 91 NSX with 761 wheel. Yeah, that's a lot of power for a 91 NSX. Yeah, so you already know about the older R8s. They're badass cars, but that automatic, I think it was a single clutch transmission, that first gen, and that's where they were just so clunky. Have you driven the new NSX? I'd be curious what you think as an old school NSX owner. I love the new NSX. My buddy has the old one and the new one, and I've driven both. And the new one, dude, in comfort mode, it literally drives like a fully loaded Honda Accord. And then in sport mode, it drives like an exotic. The difference between the drive select modes was so big. I love that. I would if I didn't live in Southern California, I swear to God I'd buy one, but my house takes up all my money. Well, not all, but a lot of it. Donald SSM Pedro here in SoCal. What's up, brother? What's up? Another local. Love to see it. George Bravo says, have you heard all the hype about the Lave DAC? Hope they send you a review unit. No, I'm not. I don't really. Let me Google it. I think I know which one you're talking about, but let me Google it real quick. I think that's the one with the, it looks all like fancy. Yeah, I've seen this. And someone in my Discord asked me about it. That there was a story there that I'm not going to get into about who these people are. Look, it looks great. it bothers me a little bit when I see a new brand come out and their first product is like kind of expensive. I wouldn't say $2,700 is esoteric or crazy pricey. But for a DAC, that's like you're approaching like high end pricing in my opinion. I'd say budget DACs are like under a grand, and then like $1,000 to $3,000. Like you're kind of in there, and this thing's almost 3 grand. It looks beautiful. The casework looks amazing. Like if they send me one, I'll review it. I'll review it. I wish it was in 2,700 bucks, but I will review it if they send me one. Like no problem. Sorry if vaping bothers any of you guys, bro. It's a habit. I don't drink. I don't do anything else. I was a 2 pack a day smoker for a long time, and I don't smoke cigarettes anymore. I just vape. I don't do it publicly, like out and about inside restaurants or nothing like that, but it is a habit I have. Nell says, I have my boater's card, but never sailed. Do you recommend ASA courses? Would really want to learn. I don't know what that is. I don't know what ASA is. I do like lake boats, like anything from 20 feet to like 32, 34 feet is most of what my buddies have. These are mostly, this is more like sport boating, figure like a Howard sport deck, DCBs, shit like that. So I think you're talking about sailing. I don't know anything about that. Billy the Stalker. Is anybody going to ask about audio? I'm surprised no one's asking about audio. I don't mind not talking about audio, but I'm really surprised. This is the first stream I've done where we're just kind of like chatting. How many people are in here? 51. Damn, a lot of people in here too. What products are you hoping to get in for review coming from Axpona? Easy answer to that question, Billy. That's going to be the Morel speakers. You guys know I don't review towers, but I'm going to review that one because it was so good. I emailed them as soon as I got back. The dude hasn't emailed me back. I'm getting kind of pissed off. I'm going to email him again because I went back to his room 3 times and I made that dude promise he's going to remember me. And he promised me he would remember me. So he's not emailing me back. I'll be honest. This is like one situation. I'm going to be a little bit of an asshole until I get a review sample. I told him straight up, I'm like, bro, no one knows who Morel is. Like, very few people know you've been gone from the home audio game for a long time. I'm one of the few people that knows your brand. I'm a fan of your brand. I know a lot about it from the car audio era and from over a decade ago, maybe 15 years ago when you were doing home audio. Like, I am familiar with you guys. You're sending me a review sample. And he was like, yes, I promise I will. So we'll see what happens. There was other stuff too, but that's like the one standout that like, come hell or high water, I'm getting that speaker in for review. I'll fly to their facility and steal one if I have to. You know what I mean? Julian says Kef LSX2 with a sub or anything else I should look at. Small apartment. Well, Kef LSX2 with a sub. So what? Like you got a budget around like $3,000. It sounds like. I mean. What are you trying to do, bro? Music or theater? Answer that question if you can, and tell me a little bit about what kind of sound you're looking for, and I'll do my best to build a little system for you for whatever your budget is, you know? Ace of Spades, did you hear the Acoustic Labs Caledons at Expona? Were they any good in the room setup? I can't remember what everything was called, so let me just Google these real quick, my bro, and see. Let's do a little quick image search. Image search did not return anything. Let me just go straight to their website. I'll be honest, bro. The only open baffle I remember seeing was like it was a really expensive one. I think it was like Maki or something like that was the name of the company. It's in one of my videos. I tried to cover almost every single room at Axpona. The few rooms I didn't cover would have been because they were so dark it would have been impossible to film. Or some of these guys were not running their air conditioner, and you would walk in and the room would be like 105 degrees, and I was like, I'm not here for that. Like, if you don't want to run the AC for some reason because you're a psychopath, I'm not filming your room. So there was about 5 rooms that I just walked in it and immediately walked out because I couldn't film in there. Richard says, I'm down to nicotine-free vaping now. Good, bro, good. You're down to 0 milligram. You're ready to quit, man. I mean, that's the ideal solution, right? So you're talking about vaping now. I got to take another toot. Seth Clark, great question. Is it better to spend $1,000 on an amplifier or speakers? It depends what you're trying to do. Try to ask that question again and try to be more specific if you can. If it's just a general, let me know, hey, it's just a general question and I'll ask it generally. But if you're asking specifically for your situation, tell me a little bit more about why you're asking this question and I'll answer it. Generally, though, I believe put your money towards the amplifier as much as possible. But there are times where I believe the opposite, like with the RSL IA 255.1, like if you've got your heart set on a set of speakers that just max out your budget and you're not going to have an amp for them, I think that's one situation where it's okay to go all in on speakers and buy that cheap RSL IA 255.1 amplifier to get you by for like a year or two until you could save a bit more money for a proper amp. That's how good it sounds. This is a great username. That's a great username. Sign Studios. I just received my white Avirus 633 3 days ago. What is that? What is a Avirus 633? You guys are saying all this stuff I got to Google. I'm about to Google that now too. What are you talking about? Oh, that's the Morel speaker. That's what it's called, the Avira. I didn't know that. Yeah, nice, bro, nice. I hope you like them. They sounded incredible in that room at Expona. Wheelbase Media says the new NSX is quicker than most people think. Yeah, it is. Did a launch control and a draggy. Had 0 to 62.9. That's quick. Yeah, bro. Most of the new cars have numb steering. That's just a thing. Like even the new M3s, like BMW M cars used to be known for their razor sharp steering, and every generation that comes out, they just get number and number. Johnson is asking me, what's the maximum amount I would spend on a DAC? So, everything is relative, right? Like, I go through my swings just like anyone else. That's a tough question to answer because, I'm kind of like a cheap bastard on one hand, but then on another hand, sometimes I'm like kind of financially like, who cares? You know what I mean? Like my car is a good example. Like it's not a cheap car, and I was just like, fuck it, that's what I want. But if you think about it, right? Like my system is pretty nice, but like I could like double the price or triple the price or even 5x the price of my system, and I don't. I guess maybe it's the music I listen to, but I do think a system 2 or 3 times as expensive as mine will sound better. I do think that, but I also think like for where I'm at, my system is like plenty good enough for the type of music I listen to. I'm not listening to a lot of like singer-songwriter or like symphonic music where like that realism is so important. I'm gonna be honest, guys. I listen to mostly like death metal and EDM. I have better tracks I listen to when I'm reviewing gear, but if you were asking me that question for yourself, Johnson, it's going to depend on like the rest of your gear, but I don't think the cost of your DAC should be, more than the cost of your amps. I'll say that. Sean B is asking if I've met Jay from Jay's Audio Lab. Is that the big dude? The dude that's just like huge? I haven't met him. Dude looks like he owns a concrete company though. I saw only like one of his videos. I didn't really know who he was, but people kept talking about him in my comments. Like they would ask me, they'd be like, "Oh, Jay reviewed the same thing you reviewed, and he said," and which is like one of the most annoying comments to get. Guys, if you're in here, please do me a favor, like, and hear me. Like, I'm not trying to be arrogant or nothing like that, but like, I never want to know what someone else's opinion is on a product because it makes it weird. Like if someone comments, like let's say I review that Morel speaker and I say it has a lot of bass, and someone comments and says, "Well, Andrew Robinson reviewed it and he said the bass was just okay." That's like a very loaded comment. It puts me in a weird spot. You know what I mean? But no, I've never met Jay from Jay's Audio Lab. He's one dude I don't know him at all. FRL 2000 says, "Have you heard the Kef reference line speakers?" I haven't. No, like those $8,000 bookshelves. I haven't. Rajiv is asking, "What are my thoughts on the Bucard A500?" I mean, I reviewed them, bro. I think my review covers my thoughts pretty well. I'd say that the takeaway from the review, if you haven't seen it yet, is like they're great. I don't like powered speakers though; they're not for me necessarily. I like to have my amp and like separate stuff. And but if I needed like a simple solution where I didn't want like an equipment rack and I wanted just a set of speakers and good powerful sound. I mean, the Bucard A400, A500 they're pretty badass. I mean, they're not cheap, so like they should be badass. They got a lot of bass, very powerful bass. They get very low. The sound is going to be mostly analytical, detail focused. Doesn't matter what you do with the master tunings. It is more of that like kind of like detail sound, at least in the treble region. Actually, I don't know. I mean, some of the master tunings did change the sound, but like it's weird because like the S400 Mark II, I have like no problem describing as a warm speaker, and even though the A500 has even more bass, I don't know if I'd call the A500 a warm speaker. I don't know. Sorry if my chair's squeaky, guys. I've had this bar stool for a while and it's kind of on its last leg, but I don't want to buy a new one because I really like the way it looks. But if I sit on it for long enough, it starts going down because the gas shock on it's blown out. Seth Clark says, "Only own the cheap Class D amps, presently have the RSL, and it's awesome." Good, bro. Good. That's a fantastic one to have. Cambridge is coming out with the CXA 81 Mark II for $1,200, but also looking at SVS Ultra Evolution bookshelves for $1,200. Yeah, I'd say since you have that RSL amp, you can kind of like ride that for a while and get whatever speakers you want. You can put most of your money towards your speakers and upgrade your amp in the future, and I think that's all right. Conversely, because, and let me say this, the big jump in refinement to my ears starts at around the $2,000 price point. It's not a guarantee. It's not a guarantee. There are amps that are around $2,000 that don't have any more refinement than like a $500 amp. But the first big step up in like refinement is going to be something like the Choco Ime. That thing brings a lot of refinement to the table in the higher frequencies, and it's like $1,700. And I swear to God, if they're watching this, send me my return label so I can return it. Guys, I've been trying to get a return label from Kinky Studio for like 45 days to get that Choco sent back to them. If they don't send it, I'm going to steal it. How about that? What do you think, guys? If I don't have a return label in another 30 days, it's mine at that point. I feel like they're taking too long. I'm just kidding. I wouldn't steal their amp. Richard says, "I like to see more amp reviews from you. Maybe do 3 amp reviews in a year." Maybe. I mean, the problem is like my amp reviews don't get a lot of views. Like I reviewed that Pathos and it didn't get a lot of views. I reviewed the Prima Luna. It didn't get a lot of reviews. I have another Pathos here right now, the Class A one, and I need to review it, but I've been like holding off because I feel like no one really cares. But I like amps. You know what I mean? I don't want to review power amps. Honestly, that's just a pain in the butt. Wheelbase Media says, "Audio question. Would you do a crossover upgrade on good quality old speaker or just get a new speaker? I think it depends on the speakers, bro, and like how much you like them. If there's an emotional connection, maybe, or if they just like really fit well with the aesthetics of your home. That's like, and that's the case anytime we're talking about replacing something or kind of like rebuilding it and breathing new life into it, right? Like my car, it's 6 years old right now. And I could have either sold it and gotten a new one, or kind of like give it some love. And I decided, you know what? I'm going to give it some love. I pulled the wheels off, dropped them off at a spot that does custom 3-piece wheels, had them fully disassembled, strip the powder coat, redo them, new hardware, new seals, straighten them out, just make them brand new. It's going to a detailer this week where they're going to do a full like interior shampoo, clay bar, redo the ceramic coating, like get rid of all the factory PPF, redo the PPF car, and I'd rather bring it like back to life and maintain it and keep it alive. But it depends, bro. If you're over the speaker, sell it, move on. You know what I mean? Get something else. But if you love it, I mean, there's nothing wrong with putting money into it. With hobbies, there's no such thing as like financially responsible, being financially responsible, right? Because hobbies are so emotion based. You got to just do what feels right, and obviously don't break the bank to the point where you're spending your kid's college fund. But you don't strike me as that kind of guy anyway. Julian says, use the KEF LSX2 for vocal clarity on title. HDMI for TV, sub and wireless connect for 8-inch KEF subs. It's 1400 USD in Canada. It's a steal. I'm not sure if that's a question. I didn't see a question in there. I think that's for someone else maybe. I think some of you guys are talking to each other. Is it advisable to have more than a pair of speakers? It's up to you, bro. You know what I mean? It's up to you. If you're happy with one pair of speakers, by all means, have one pair of speakers. If you're, financially stable enough to the point where you can afford to have multiple pairs of speakers and that's what you want to do, by all means, do that. I would say be careful, don't become addicted. Don't buy speakers like the way guys buy shoes. Like if you've got more than 10 sets of speakers, that's a little crazy, I'd say. But it's your hobby, brother, and there's no such thing as being logical with a hobby. As long as you're still able to put money aside and you're in a good place financially, if you want a second or third set of speakers, I think that's fine. What I am against, however, and I've seen a lot of the budget guys do this, I've seen a lot of the budget guys have like 10 plus sets of $200 speakers, and that I would say is idiotic. To that, I would say, brother, save your money instead and buy one pair of $2,000 speakers. Because there's such a big gap between $200 speakers and $2,000 speakers. But if you want to have like one open airy speaker like a Focal and one really like warm and juicy and tonally rich speaker, like that's fine. I think that's okay. Superman says, I have a cheap Franken sub, amp to sub, then sub to speakers. Does the high level output on my 30-old act? I don't know what you're saying, bro. I don't understand your question, bro. You got like some like DIY sub? Are you just asking if you should use high level or low level? I'm not sure what the question is, my man. I'm sorry. Maybe he's talking to someone else in the comments. I'm not sure. Jazzabana, are you a cable guy? I am not going to ask further questions about cables. Just curious. Yes and no. You know what I'm saying? I think some topics in audio are polarizing, and to that kind of stuff, I say have your own experience. If you think cables are a waste of money, by all means use inexpensive zip cord. I will not tell you otherwise. If you love cables and you want to spend thousands of dollars cryo treating it, do it. This is a hobby. It's supposed to be fun. We're all supposed to do what makes us happy, and that's what I like to encourage people to do. My stance on cables is this. I'm a sucker for aesthetics, and I love the way nice cables look. So yes, all my cables are upgraded. There was no like rhyme or reason to it. I literally chose based on how they looked. because I wanted the back of my amplifier to look nice. I'm back there a lot, fiddle fucking around, plugging and unplugging stuff, and I wanted nice cables, I used like Maze Audio Ref 4 for the speaker cables. Oide, is it Oide? Maybe not Oide. The Tsunami Terzo RRs for my XLR. It's like a Japanese company. And then I use an Analysis Plus Oval 1 RCAs for anything that's RCA. Did you get to hear the Avant-Garde Acoustics Colibri C2 at 16980 a pair? If so, how did you like them? I gotta Google it, bro. I gotta Google that. I think I know which one you're talking about. I'm pretty sure I heard it, but let me Google it just to make sure we're talking about the same speaker. No, I didn't see that one at the show. I did go into the Avant-Garde room too, or maybe it was their dealer's room, but I did not see that one. Sorry. Jazzabana, I heard Pathos Logos Mark II with onboard DAC and compared it to a couple RME and SMS DACs. The onboard DAC is definitely better. That's good to know. I have the Pathos In-Pole Remix in for review right now with the onboard DAC. I haven't tested the onboard DAC yet. The amp's like $5,500 without the DAC and around $7,000 with it. This is a really good amp, guys. This is like the first amp I've gotten in where I'm like, this is better than what I own. Because like my preamp and mono blocks together, they're like a little over 6,000 once you add in a cable. And that Pathos Class A In-Pole Remix, really, really nice. Also, for a Class A amp, excuse me, it's got 38 watts of chant. Nemo Propaganda needs water. Hold on, guys. For a Class A amp, it gets hot, but it's not that big. It's not that big and it's not that heavy. Sorry, guys, I'm trying to see where I left off. Julian's asking if the LSX2 is worth it for a small apartment. I couldn't tell you, bro, because I've only reviewed the LS50 Metas. Let me see how much the LSX2s are. Because this is something a lot of you guys might not know about me. Almost everything to me comes down to the price. Like when I say something's good, the price is a big factor. It's a big factor. You know what I mean? Like you guys know I love the Bucard S400 Mark II. But if the Bucard S400 Mark II was $4,000, I would not be recommending it. I would not be telling you guys it's good. In fact, I'd be telling you guys the opposite. Because at $4,000, it doesn't compete. So the LSX2s are $1,300. I've never heard them. I don't know what. I'll be honest, bro. I'll be honest. Like I'm only going to repeat what other people have said in the comments. Everyone in the comments that's ever talked about owning them has been a little disappointed. I got to say that. I like Kef. They make good stuff. I like their products. But I remember this one specifically, the LSX2, every time someone's mentioned it in the comments section, they didn't like it. They felt it was underwhelming for one reason or another. And these people liked other Kef products, but that one they didn't love for one reason or another. So for $1,300 a set, what would I do instead? Let's see here. I think I would do something like that RSL IA 255.1 amplifier and maybe a speaker like a Dynaudio Emit 10. Speaker's got good strong bass, good clarity. It's not too big. That'll be great for TV. It'll be great for music. It's compact. That's what I would do, I think, if I had a budget around $1,000. Let's see here. Where did I leave off? Where's my comments pop out? Jazzabana says, I am a cable guy to the bone. Nothing wrong with that, bro. You got to do the hobby the way you're happy with it. You know what I'm saying? Everyone has to do that. Ed says, Nemo, do you have a favorite oldish speaker you would like to have which you never owned? For me, it would be the Bucard S200. I know which one you're talking about. So the S400 is the reason the S200 doesn't exist. The S200 never really fully went into production. Mads made a few. Everyone seemed to like the S300 more. And then the S200 just concept evolved into the S400, right? But yeah, it was a cool looking speaker. I would like to have a pair, but no, I don't really think that way. I very rarely like look back and have like oh, I wish this or that. Like my mind just doesn't work that way. Even if I make a mistake on something, like I never think back and be like, oh, I should have done this, I should have done that. Like hindsight's 2020, you know what I mean? And if something's like discontinued or out of print, I'm just like whatever, moving on, no big deal. Donald says, have you been to the Source AV in Torrance? I have, yeah. I've been to most of the local audio stores. Wheelbase Media says, I restored some old B&W 602s in gloss white and bought a crossover parts from GR Research. All good, your hobby, run it how you want, run it how you want. I don't like Danny Ritchie as far as I could throw him. I don't trust him. Sorry, let me say that again. I don't trust him as far as I could throw him, but I'm sure the crossover is just fine. You know what I mean? Yeah, bro, look, if you like your old B&W 602s, you know what I mean? And you want to mod them, like mod them. Like I support modding, kind of do whatever you want. The only time I don't support modding is when someone buys a cheap speaker because there's an upgraded crossover available. That doesn't make sense to me. Like I wouldn't buy the Sony SSCS 5s for $99 and then like a GR Research crossover kit for $500. That pushes the price of the speaker to like $600-700. I would just buy a $600-700 speaker. But if you got something old laying around and you want to, you know, upgrade it or just mess with it, tweak it, by all means, you know. I just don't like Danny. Robert says, Bucks Super Stereo World can get you the TK420. Oh, I think he's talking to someone else. Ace of Spades, for car audio, if you were going aftermarket components today, who are you buying? Focal, Morel, or other? When I do car audio, the reality is like the type of cars like I'm into, they generally come with a fairly good sound system. Like if I'm shopping at if I'm buying a car, it's going to be something like 100K and up, right? It's going to have a decent sound system. I'm not going to be opening up the door panels on a $100,000 plus car. So I'm going to leave the mids and highs where they're at. And if it was something like a Mercedes AMG, which they have like way overblown bass, I'm dialing down the bass as much as possible. I'm disconnecting the factory sub, and I'd add my own little sub in the trunk is what I would do. That's what I did with my S7. My S7 has the Bose sound system. The clarity is good. It's okay. It does lack refinement, but it gets plenty loud. You just dial down the bass, disconnect the factory sub, and install my own. To answer your question though, like if it was like not a 100K car, if I wanted to like just like restore like a 94 Integra or something like that, to answer your question, I'd probably go for one of the smaller niche brands like Audio Frog is probably what I would do. I think Focal's a little overpriced, just overall as a brand. Julian says, thanks so much for the truth in audio. Appreciate the help. I'm glad you appreciate it, bro. You know the messed up thing is sometimes I get comments. People say shit like, "Oh, I could tell by the way the way you talk about this product, you were paid to do this review," and it pisses me off so much. Like I know it shouldn't bother me, and most negative comments don't bother me, but that one really pisses me off because I literally don't use affiliate links. I don't charge fees. Like I'll be honest, guys, most of these like audio companies, they will not pay a fee to review a product. They won't. Like if you ask for like even like $200 to review a product, they'll be like, no. That's not a thing unless you have like 100K plus subscribers. I don't get to keep anything for free. Very, very rarely does a brand let me keep something. It does happen. I'm not going to lie, but it really pisses me off when someone thinks that my integrity is so just affordable that like an audio company would buy it. I'm not saying my moral integrity is not for sale. If someone brought me $20 million, I'll make a YouTube video and lie. I will. And I think you guys would want me to. You know what I mean? Guy, if you got a crazy offer to lie, by all means go for it. But like, dude, even if someone was like, hey, I'll give you like 5 grand, like just make a good video about my product. If their product sucks, I'm gonna tell them to go fuck themselves. Like you're not buying me for a couple $1,000s. Like it's not enough for me to not be able to sleep at night. You know what I'm saying? What else we got? Superman says, does the high level output on an old subwoofer affect the sound of my speakers? Am I better off hooking up my speakers directly to my amp versus the high level output on my active subwoofer? So as a rule of thumb, as few connections as possible. That's the rule of thumb in audio. That's the rule of thumb with electrical in general. So if that were me, I would go directly to my amp. Now, is it possible that your subwoofer, being 30 years old, happens to have a super clean handoff? It's possible, but it's unlikely. I'd venture to guess it will sound better with your speakers connected directly to your amplifier. Unless there's some kind of like crossover thing happening, like you've got your sub's got a DSP in there that high passes or something. That could be a case of where even though it may lower the quality a smidgen, that smooth transition might make it worth it for you. But I always plug my speakers directly into my amplifier. Mauricio, hi Nemo, I have a 12-inch Polk subwoofer, 400 watts RMS, $800 USD, and I'm looking to upgrade to a REL S512, S510, I think is what you mean, but this is a 10-inch. Do you think I should stretch to the S812? Look, I'll be honest with you, Mauricio, any sub you get is going to be a massive upgrade. Polk Audio makes some good stuff. Their Polk Reserve speakers are fantastic, but their Polk subwoofers, oof, not good. They're not good. They're not. Anything is going to be a big upgrade. A S510 is going to be like an insane upgrade for you. Even the REL HT1003 is going to be a really big upgrade for you. If the S510 is too expensive, a pair of 1003 Mark IIs is going to be a massive upgrade. XDZ 1017 Edge is going to be a massive upgrade for you. Honestly, that's a huge upgrade, bro. That's a huge upgrade for you. Going from a Polk subwoofer to a REL S510, that's like going from, and I don't mean to disrespect the subwoofer you have. I'm just telling you the truth here. That's like going from a Toyota Tercel. For those of you guys that remember the Toyota Tercel, not the best car. It's like going from a Toyota Tercel to something like a brand new Lexus. That's a big upgrade. You're gonna love that. Donald says car audio, JL, True Technology, Helix. I actually run a Helix amp in my S7. Good stuff. I'm gonna be honest, the Aura subs, bro, I don't like the way their drivers look. I don't know, it like really bothers me. I know they're like, it's like a good SQ driver, but I'm just such a bitch for aesthetics. Zombieland says, I'm somewhat nervous. I ordered a Choco Sound EMA amp to try an upgrade over an Audiolab 6000A. I have a pair of A Acoustics, maybe Q Acoustics. Yeah, Q Acoustics Concept 300s. What is your opinion? My opinion is this. I have not heard those speakers or that amplifier you have. However, I do know about the Audiolab sound. The Audiolab sound is a lot like the Emotiva sound is what I'm told. Excuse me. And the Choco EMA is going to be warmer. It's going to be more holographic. It's going to sound a little rolled off by direct comparison, but it's going to have quite a bit more refinement in the treble region. So I think you'll like it. Give yourself a couple weeks to adapt to it. It does take time. Don't just plug it in for an hour and be like, this is the best thing in the world, or I hate this. You got to give yourself a week or two. But the Choco Ime should be a pretty significant upgrade. Hold on, I'm getting a low power warning. Oh, I don't know how much longer we could do this because my phone's down to 20%. That's what I'm streaming on. How long has it been? 74 minutes. That's a while. Rachel says, did you listen to the Atom speakers powered by Atoll at Expona? We were blown away by them. Were those the ones with the tweeters that were like sitting on top of the cabinet? I did listen to those, but I'm in and out of the room so quickly because I'm like trying to film every room. I don't really stop to like smell the roses. Joan Frederick says, I own over 10 speakers. Yeah, you may look. I'm not judging, but maybe a little bit of an addiction, maybe a little one, but I'm not judging. I have a lot of speakers too, as long as they're not like 10 sets of $200 speakers, because that's just a shame. Because with that same money, you could just get like one awesome set of speakers and be so much happier. You're talking to someone else. Wheelbase Media says, dislike for Danny aside, I did put a pair of RSL Speedwoofer Tennis Mark IIs with them in the shop based on your review, and they are terrific. Thanks for that. Yeah, the Speedwoofer, that's a crazy bargain in audio. Oh my God. For everyone, look guys, Zero Fidelity's in here. You want to give him a hard time for not posting content? Go ahead. We talked about it at the beginning of the stream. Go ahead. Get it off your chest. Tell him. He's right here. Thank you for the $10 also, and good morning, my friend. Corey says 2 HT1205s or 1 S510 for a large room for music. Well, look, the 1205 Mark II has really good bass fidelity. The S510 is much better, however. The 1205 Mark II is going to have like good transients and such, but it's just not going to have the nuanced detail of an S510. So it just depends what you're trying to do. Personally, I could be happy with either because I'm kind of flexible with what I enjoy in regards to bass. But if you are looking for absolute maximum sound quality, maximum handling of delicate passages, you want to hear all that bass detail, go for the S510. You know what I mean? Jazzabana says, Audio Lab sound thin and bright. I mean, like I said, I've heard it's like the Emotiva sound, which is, thin mid-range, a little bit on the forward side of neutral. That's the Emotiva sound, Superman says, have you ever heard the MoFi Source Point speakers versus the Fritz Carbon 7s? No, bro, the MoFi Source Points are too ugly for me to, I'm sorry, bro. I know that sounds stupid, but like, that's just where I'm at, bro. Aesthetics matter to me. The MoFis are hideous. They're really big. I don't think that's something I'll ever review. I'm not opposed to reviewing larger speakers. I do have the Zoo DWX here right now. Wow, that's a really good speaker. A review coming soon for the Zoo DWX. If you don't mind a medium to large size bookshelf speaker, holy crap, that DWX could be endgame for a lot of people. Blah says, Sean, dust off the camera. I told you, Sean, you still have fans. Your subscribers, your audience is still alive and well, waiting to, see your content, myself included, So I think I speak for most of them when I say, stop being lazy and review some stuff. Zombieland is asking, do you think Sean's integrity is purchasable? Honestly, no, not even a little bit. I think someone could offer Zero Fidelity like 15K, and I think he would just get offended. I think he would be like very offended. The dude doesn't give a shit about money. Like, he really doesn't. Yeah. I mean, look, at some point, everything's for sale. You know what I mean? I'm sure if someone was like, here's $1 million, like, make a video for me, like I already told you guys, I would do that. Like you could buy me for $1 million, like no problem. You know, like I'll say anything for that price. I don't even care. Mr. Martell says, you previously suggested two 1003 Mark IIs for music mastering in my small room with a $1,600 USD price range. If I was to put a bit more money, would you think a pair of F12 400s or HT 1205 Mark IIs? If Rhythmic is available to you for mixing, I think you have a small room, if I remember correctly. Running dual 12s in a small room is not suggested. You're going to have some issues. Well, dual sealed 12s. For one reason or another, I've noticed vented 12s sound better in small rooms. I would, if you want a rhythmic option, it would be the LV12M. That's what I would recommend. Is the Speedwoofer 12S better? The Speedwoofer 12S is massive. It's better in a lot of ways just by its sheer size. The Speedwoofer 12S is, I mean, you'd probably need 6 REL 1003s to even come close to the sense of scale and output capability. That's a big sub. It's a very good sub. I love the Speedwoofer 12S. But you got to remember, you have a small room. You know what I mean? So you want to make sure you get something that's going to match the room. That's why I recommended the smaller REL 1003s. I think Rhythmic LV12M pair would be good. I think a single RSL 12S might work. Zombieland says, I package of double stuff. Oreos can go a long way. Yeah. Oh, Zero Fidelity's talking to someone else. That's what that is. Chris James says, dude, bust out the camera. Yeah, he's talking to Zero Fidelity. Yeah, guys, give him shit. I do it all the time. He won't listen. He won't. Sean's got very thick skin. You could make fun of him for the next 20 minutes, and it's not going to change what he's going to do. He's a very thick-skinned and stubborn man, I would say. I think that's a fair assessment. I am going to be wrapping up the stream in a little bit, guys. So if you have any other questions, shoot them off. Let me check my cell phone battery. Yeah, we're at 15%, so don't have a lot of time, guys. Zombieland is saying the Speedwoofer is way better than the 10S. I have both. I think you mean the Speedwoofer 12S is way better than the 10S. Yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely. The Speedwoofer 12S is, I would rather have a single Speedwoofer 12S than 3 or 4 10Ss. Corey says, what could compete with a single S510? Is the S812 a huge step up? I don't think anything can compete with an S510. In terms of like ultimate bass fidelity, I don't think anything can compete with an S510. I think once you get to the S812, because you got to remember, guys, REL made the S series for theater LFE. That's what it's for. It's to like shake your room for a movie. It just happens to sound extremely good. The S812, you're stepping up to a larger driver, and REL does their best to keep the weight low. But the S510 is going to have slightly quicker transients. So the only reason to get an S812 over an S510 is if an S510 doesn't have the output you're looking for. An S812 isn't an upgrade from an S510. It's the same with like the HT1003 and HT1205. You don't buy an HT1205 Mark II because you're expecting better sound quality from the 1003. You buy the larger sub because you need what larger subs bring to the table, which is that output. The Speedwoofer 12S, I would not have a conversation of a REL S510 and a Speedwoofer 12S in the same conversation. That doesn't make sense. The Speedwoofer 12S is a very different kind of subwoofer. It's a very large, very heavy vented subwoofer. Large vented subwoofers are not compact sealed subs. They don't sound the same. They don't do the same things. Now, a single Speedwoofer 12S is going to have way more output, way more force down low than even a pair of S510s, right? But it's a very different subwoofer. If you hop in my free Discord, there's a FAQ section where I compare the Speedwoofer 12S to the Rhythmic FVX12, which is my absolutely favorite vented subwoofer with the best sound quality I've ever heard, and I think that'll give you some context. Sorry, Jazabana, I've never heard Totem speakers. I'm trying to get a review sample, so maybe in the future. Yeah, Donald nailed it. Donald says, in a large room, the S812 will be better. In a smaller room, the S510 is better. Absolutely, yes. In a music system, it is very important that the subwoofer be sized appropriately to your room. Now, in a theater rig, go for as big as you can. Theater is completely different. We're DSPing everything. It doesn't matter. You want to go big. But in a stereo system where it's mostly analog, it is important that the subwoofer is sized appropriately for the room. No. No, they will never do that because that would require them to use a DSP. DSP will slow down the signal, increase group delay, and REL, that is the opposite of what REL believes in. REL believes in the subwoofer having very low group delay, very quick transients, ultra lightweight materials. They believe like the most important part of sound quality and bass fidelity is responsiveness. They will not add something to a subwoofer that will slow it down like a DSP. That'll never happen. And subwoofers, it doesn't need it. I mean, it doesn't need it. It sounds so good. I mean, you get up out of your chair, you twist some knobs one time, you get it dialed in, you never have to do it again. Sean from Zero Fidelity says Nemo, did you see the new Wilson Watt puppies? I may have to buy them. No, I haven't seen them. Let me check. Is that the bookshelf? Wilson Watt puppy. No, I don't think that's a bookshelf. That's looking big and heavy. Let's see if I can find the weight. Manual. That's probably a 200-pound speaker. But by all means, brother, if you want to take that thing upstairs, man, and like buy yourself a set of speakers, Sean. I support that. I strongly support that. I think everyone should have a good set of speakers. And if the Wilson Watt puppies are calling your name, you should buy them. I support it. Donald says, I do have a REL question for you. Why is the high level on a REL so much better than other subs? Because it's designed with intention. That's the answer. It's designed with intention. So most high-level inputs on other subs are legacy connections. The manufacturer is adding them in case you have some old, cheap, inexpensive AVR from 20 years ago that doesn't have a sub output, so you need to use high-level. It's like a cheap $6 part. It's called a high-to-low converter. That's not what REL's doing. REL designed their own circuit specifically to bypass the subwoofer output on inexpensive amps, because what REL noticed is a lot of the subwoofer outputs on amps and preamps, especially the inexpensive stuff, and when I say inexpensive, I mean not inexpensive per se, but common man pricing, figure $500 to $2,000. A lot of those subwoofer outputs are filtered, and they're muddy and messy, and that it's not given a clean signal to the subwoofer. And REL noticed it was taking the sound quality out of their products. And they're like, screw this, we need to bypass this. And that's why they use high level, because high level is not going to be coming off the speaker terminals. So I'm sorry, is not going to be coming off that filtered sub out, and it's coming off the speaker terminals where there's no filtering usually. Ace of Spades is asking why I don't like towers. Let me see here, guys. So I want to stream for a little bit longer, but my phone battery is getting light. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to disconnect my mic, and I'm going to plug in a power cable to charge my phone. Give me a second, and I'm going to come back and let me know if the sound quality is good enough or not. If it's not, we'll just call it a stream. But if it's good enough to go another 15 or 20 minutes, we'll keep going. One sec. Okay, so we're not using a mic anymore. We're just using the mic that's on the iPhone. Drop it in the comments. How are we sounding? Should I keep going or should we just wrap it up because it sounds like shit? I'm waiting for your comments, guys. Let me know. Sounds fine. Keep going. All right. Let's go. Probably a little more echo because I have an open concept home. Oh, people are sending me money. Oh, thank you, brother. Zombieland, you didn't have to, but I appreciate it, man. He's saying, thanks for all your work, Nemo. Love your channel. Thank you, brother. I'm happy you enjoy it. And guys, just know this, for anyone that, if you donate money to me in a live stream, you don't have to. You guys know I answer all the questions no matter what. If you do, what I do with that money is I redonate it to other YouTubers that are in countries where that money goes a little bit further. I'll follow some content creators that are in countries where, you know, the governments are not good and it's like tough to make a living. And I'd be gifting the money back to them and their live streams and stuff, since I feel like I'm, you know, kind of blessed already. But I appreciate it. You guys don't have to do it, but I really do appreciate it. Let me see where I left off. Oh, Ace of Spades was asking, Nemo, why don't you like towers? The looks, the size, your room. So a couple of things. First thing is they are just a little bit of a pain in the butt to work with as a reviewer standpoint. I gotta take them out of the box, and then when I'm done with the review, I have to put them back in the box, and it's a little bit harder to repackage those things. I have to transport them to my office to get them picked up for shipping. So just from a logistics standpoint, towers are a pain in the butt for me. Another thing is it's hard to A/B them. They're bigger, they're heavier, they're just cumbersome to work with. That's really what it comes down to. Why I don't run towers for myself is aesthetics. Jono the Revelator says, Nemo, have you heard the Denafreps R streamer review? No, I haven't. I talked to Alvin and Vinshine Audio about it, and I was like, hey, do you want me to review this new product you have coming out? I see you've got a streamer coming. And he asked me right away, he's like, do you use Rune? And I said, no, I don't. And he said, that's what it's really designed for. It's designed with the Rune user in mind. So if you don't use Rune, you may not enjoy using it, because that's what it's for. So I'm not going to be reviewing it because I don't use Rune. Jazzabana, any experience with Musical Paradise MP701 preamp? No, brother, I have not heard that one. High Res Views asks if I'm going to review the SVS Evolutions. Yeah, man, absolutely. I saw the team at SVS at Axfona. I heard the towers. Those things were bumping. They can put out a lot of sound. They had the big full-size towers, and I talked to them about getting a set of the bookshelves for review, and they were like, yeah, for sure. But what I told them is this, because look, SVS is a big company, and their sales volume is quite high. So I told them, look, if people are buying them, and you need those units for paying customers, please, don't send me a review sample until you're like super good on inventory. I don't want to take a set of speakers that someone might buy. And they were like, yeah, cool, thank you. We appreciate that. The order volume is pretty high right now. So I might review them in a few months. You know what I mean? Once the initial excitement has kind of cooled off a little bit. How many people are in here now? 44? We've been going for about an hour and 34 minutes. That's not bad. You guys can ask personal questions too if you want. I never like volunteer too much information, but if you guys are just like curious about shit, I'm always happy to chat about other stuff, whether it's like audio, not audio. You know what I mean? I'd say let's try to stay away from like politics, just because like I think everyone's burned out from that kind of stuff. Like I think we all just want to be happy, and politics generally don't make us happy. You know, they generally don't. Mr. Martell says, I didn't know a subwoofer driver size could overload a room. I thought it was more about listening level than driver size itself. I think I have a bit more reading to do. Well, it's not just driver size, there's a lot to it. So imagine, if you will, a larger driver, and it doesn't mean a larger driver will always overload a room, it may not sometimes, but let's say you've got a subwoofer with a 12-inch driver. You've got a pair of them, and these things are low on efficiency. Most subwoofer drivers aren't the most sensitive, so they need some wattage to get going, to produce some bass. Let's say the drivers in this particular subwoofer are only about 80 dB efficient. They're going to need a good amount of power from that plate amplifier to wake up, which means they can only play so low. You can only turn them down so low, right? You have to have, and test this with your own sub if you have one. Most subs can only be turned down so low. So if it's a design that's not too efficient to begin with, which is a driver that's not too sensitive, sealed box designs aren't super efficient, you might run into a situation where you can't really turn down the sub low enough, right? That's not the only thing that happens, but there's also the fact of like how long these bass waves are. You can run into cancellation issues. The waves just going back and forth constantly. There's a lot more to it. Bass can be very complicated, but just trust me, I promise you there is such a thing as too much subwoofer for the room in a music system. For sealed subwoofers specifically, I have noticed, again, vented subs, it seems like you can go bigger. In a small room, they still sound fantastic. My belief there is because vented subs are more efficient, they can play at lower volumes, whereas sealed subs, in my experience, they tend to like to be played just a little bit louder. Joan says, I am sick in the head. Most of them are Advent, completely restored, a few subs in the mix. Also, do not get me started on my amps and preamps, 10 pairs or more speakers in my, oh my God. Guys, just so you know, Joan is telling us she's got a ridiculous collection here, and if you didn't catch that, Joan is a lady, guys. Joan is out here just killing it. Again, no judgment, but you might have a little addiction, you might have a little one, but you know what I say? Because some of my friends have asked me, like, hey Nemo, you have like so many speakers and amps, like what's up with this? Like, why do you do this? And what I tell my friends is like, hey bro, it's not uncommon when you have a hobby to have multiples of an item. Like think about it if you're a sneakerhead. These guys that are into shoes, for example, these guys got 20, 30, 40 pairs of shoes. Now they could do that because, you know, your average pair of, say, like Nikes or something are like $150, $250. So it's not a big deal to have a lot of them. Over a period of time, you can kind of collect a lot. While you can only wear one pair of shoes at a time, it's okay to have multiple pairs of shoes. And I viewed like the audio hobby no different. Yes, I can only listen to one set of speakers at a time, but I think as long as it doesn't put your mortgage into default, right? Or cause your car to be repossessed, I think it's okay to own multiple speakers and amplifiers. Hey, Shoplin, what's up? Long-time subscriber. Always happy to see you. Ed Beck, do you have a girlfriend or a wife? Just curious. I don't, no. I'm single, no wife, no girlfriend, no kids, no dog. Look, I'm not opposed to it, you know what I mean? If I meet Mrs. Right, I would totally like marry Mrs. Right. Living in Southern California, it's a little bit difficult. Honestly, I'm not trying to sit here and be like, oh, there's no good girls out here. There's a lot of great women out here, there are, but there's also the opposite, you know what I mean? It's tough because California can be a very like, what's the word? like when people are kind of fake. I can't remember what the word is, but they're like, people are a little bit like money hungry, a little bit greedy, a little bit selfish, and a little bit fake. And it's hard for me to vibe with people like that. Corey's asking if I have any experience with open baffle subs. I have experience with like exotic subwoofer designs, but it's not something I talk about because exotic and esoteric and niche and like, there's like open baffle, there's like band pass, there's rotary subwoofers, there's all these super unique. Oh, folded horn is another one. There's a lot of these weird, crazy designs, and I don't like to talk about them. Thank you, superficial. Yes, Donald, that's the word I was looking for. There's a lot of super niche subwoofer designs, and I don't talk about them because there's a reason they're niche. There's a reason for all of them. Like large folded horn subwoofers, you give that thing like 100 watts and it'll play crazy loud, but the thing has to be massive, right? They all have their trade-offs, so I don't really like to get into that. Again, if you're joining me, sorry for the squeaky chair, guys. My bar stool is squeaky. If you didn't notice, it's already gone down. I gotta raise it up again here. I should just buy a new one. Let's see if I can say this name. I like saying difficult names. Abhishek Goswami says, have you thought about or reviewed the Hollow Red streamer? No, I haven't. I don't know anyone from Hollow. I think it's Kitsune Hi-Fi is their master distributor. Maybe it's their brand, I'm not sure. I've never reviewed their stuff. Have you ever tried an 18-inch PA sub for music at home? No, I would never do that. That wouldn't sound good. PA subs, pro audio subs in general, don't do much below 40 or 50 hertz. They have subsonic filters that are very aggressive because they're not designed for low frequency extension. They're designed for loudness. And you know, those frequencies around 40 hertz and below suck up a lot of wattage. They make the driver move a ton, and they take away a lot of your maximum output. So the pro audio game is all about loud reinforcement. In an outdoor venue, you need tons and tons of sound power. Those things have no extension at all. Like some pro audio subs might get down to 30 hertz, but that's embarrassingly low for home audio. They're very like chesty, however, and very hard sounding because they are all about output, but I would never use a pro audio sub in a home. It just wouldn't have the extension to satisfy me. Mr. Martell, you're saying you didn't know that about the sensitivity? Yeah. I mean, different drivers have different sensitivities. You know what I mean? That's why if you've watched any of my speaker reviews, you'll hear me say something like this, like hard to drive speakers are rarely low volume champions. Usually speakers that are low volume champions tend to be high sensitivity speakers, something like the Zoo DWX. It's 95 dB efficient. It sounds great at low volumes and loud volumes. You know what I mean? So yeah, sensitivity is a factor. Every driver has a sensitivity rating. And again, it's not uncommon for a subwoofer driver to be very inefficient. Not always, like Rel's drivers are very efficient. Rhythmix drivers are very efficient, but not all are. Most are, you know, anywhere from like 79 to like 83 dB efficient, which is dog shit, but somewhat normal for a subwoofer driver. Zombieland Nemo, if you change the stock power cable for a decent or better one, is there any benefit? Good question. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna tell you guys the truth. Some of you guys might get mad. This is just my true experience, okay? And I've never talked about this because I know it's gonna piss some people off. 3 years ago, I was looking at my power cables and I was like, man, these things are ugly. Sean's heard this story. I've told Sean this. This is my true experience. I was looking at my power cables. I'm like, man, these things are ugly. They're not doing it for me in the aesthetics department. I use bookshelf speakers. My rack is small, so you can see my power cables. They're very obvious. I want something stylish. So I went back to Maze Audio. I saw their Ref 4 power cable. It's like a quad 10 gauge twisted pair. It looks so cool. It uses this big, beefy Krell style connector. They're like $220 a piece. I ordered 5 of them simply for aesthetics. I did not believe a power cable made a difference. I was not looking for a sonic upgrade. This purchase was simply for aesthetics and nothing more. I plugged them all in, 1 to my preamp, 2 to my monoblocks, 1 to the power strip that feeds everything, and the 5th one went to my subwoofer. I was using an internal DAC at the time. I didn't have the Denafrips. There was an upgrade. My background got darker, and the treble became more effortless, and it surprised the hell out of me. It's something I don't talk about because I don't want anyone to feel like I'm trying to sell them on cables. I'm not. Don't buy cables if you don't want cables. Use the stock ones. And don't buy cables hoping for an upgrade. I don't know if you'll have the same experience I had. But that was my experience with power cables. I could not believe it. It wasn't a massive difference. It certainly wasn't worth the money I spent. I mean, they're $220 a piece. I bought 5 of them. That's $1,100 in power cables. I'd say maybe it was worth it, actually. It was noticeable. But yeah, that was something that really took me by surprise because, again, I wasn't looking for an upgrade. This was purely an aesthetic decision. But yeah, I did notice a darker background. Mr. Martell says, you're saying you're worried the 1003 Mark II won't go low enough? I mean, it gets down to 20 hertz. Your room's small, bro. Like, it'll get low, bro. Like, the 1003 Mark II in my room got just as low as the 1205 Mark II did, but it's up to you, bro. I get it. You know what I mean? Extension matters. It depends how loud you're trying to play it. Like, the 1003 Mark II is not going to play 20 hertz as loud as the 1205. Maybe go for the bigger ones, you know, maybe start with 1. Ever review any Canton speakers? No, Canton's just like not real popular out here for one reason or another. Mauricio says aspirational, superficial. Oh, you guys were trying to help me find the word. Yeah, superficial is the word, yeah. A lot of women out here are superficial. Yeah, I'm just like, it's a big turnoff for me. And they can't like really carry a conversation. Like, look, I'm not looking for a chick that can like talk like a guy. You know what I mean? And like talk to me about like amplifiers and shit. Like I expect a woman to be like a woman, but like I don't know. Like I said, guys, if I find Mrs. Right, I'll put a ring on it. You know what I mean? And until then, I don't want to make a bad decision and just shack up with someone for convenience. I'm not a person. Fun fact about me, I don't experience loneliness. That's not a feeling that I'm familiar with at all. I just don't experience it, and that allows me to be fairly patient and wait for the right person. Abhishek Goswani says, nice to meet you at Exponent in the hallway. Spot on pronouncing my name. Hell yeah. I'm happy I got it right. It was good meeting you too. It was nice meeting everyone at Exponent, honestly. It's a pleasure. The reason I go out is to meet you guys. That's the highlight of the show for me. I'll be honest, I don't really care about the gear all that much. I film it for you guys so you guys can see it in the videos, but the fun for me is bumping into the people that consume my content, you know, asking a question, giving them a little bit of one-on-one time. That's the reason I fly out to Exponent, to have that experience. It's a lot of fun, you know. Superman says, do you think the streamer makes a difference when using an external DAC? So this is a crazy one. Yeah, it does, and it shouldn't. It shouldn't make a difference because they're just ones and zeros, right? It shouldn't make a difference, but it does. And this surprised me so much. The first time I experienced this, I called Jay from Jay Ziagi to make sure I wasn't crazy. I had gotten the Silent Angel streamer in for review. It was a $2,000 stack. I was using the Aries 2 DAC. So I was only using the streamer as a streamer. And comparing it to my Node 2i, there was a notable sonic difference. So I called Jay, because Jay has reviewed way more streamers than I have. I'm like, hey bro, this might sound crazy, but like, am I tripping right now? Like, I hear a difference. And he's like, bro, yeah. He's like, yeah, I've experienced the same thing. And Jay even told me, he's like, the crazy part is, because Jay is way more technical than I am. Jay has a much more a better fundamental understanding of the inner workings of the products than I do. And Jay didn't understand why either, like why, because it shouldn't. So he started calling the engineers at these like streaming companies and asking them. And what he told me is they said the same thing almost. They're like, it's a weird thing. Like, technically, it shouldn't make a difference, but they've noticed it matters. Like the circuit layout, where it's a lot of trial and error is what he was told. Like they got to just keep trying stuff, and when something sounds good, they make a note of it. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't be surprised if that's why some of the expensive streamers are so expensive. Just all the trial and error, just the R&D time is long on them probably. Jazz Abana says, thanks for the chat, love from Turkey. What's up, brother? I think our countries are neighbors. My family's from Iran originally. A lot of Persian people flee Iran through Turkey, so I think we're your immigrants. Jazz Abana says, Yamaha amps, in my experience, come with the shittiest power cables. Yeah, a lot of gear does. A lot of gear does. Like my Kinky Studio mono blocks came with cheap, crappy power cables even. Donald's asking what service I use to stream. I use Tidal, and I've been told Qobuz is better, and I believe that, but I use Tidal. I'm stuck with Tidal. Like, maybe I'll change one day. I don't know. I got Tidal a long time ago, and it's never really let me down. I do hate the Apple CarPlay for Tidal. It is not good. It's nowhere near as good as like Apple's own native app. And I wonder if that's Tidal's fault or Apple's fault, you know? Because look, I use an iPhone, but I'm not an Apple fanboy, and we all know Apple tries to make their shit way better than everyone else's, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's Apple messing up Tidal's app. Superman's asking, any experience with Totem subwoofers? No. I'm trying to work with Totem right now. We've been emailing back and forth a little bit. And maybe I'll get a pair of their speakers in for review. In my experience, speaker companies rarely make the best subwoofers, but if they felt strong confidence in their subwoofer, I would review it, you know. Justin Hoff says, thanks so much for the reviews. I really appreciate your channel. Keep doing what you're doing. You've got the best audio review channel on YouTube. I appreciate that, bro. I don't know if I've got the best channel. I mean, it depends what you're looking for, I guess. You know what I mean? I take my time. That's one thing I could say with pride. I would say there's a good chance I spend more time with the gear than most other reviewers. And it's not because I'm a better man or anything like that. It's just because my YouTube channel is a side project and not a source of income for me. I can afford to take my time. I don't have to rush out content. I don't have to be first. I'm not trying to actively grow my channel or turn this into a vocation at all. Nemo Propaganda is a side project, and I'm perfectly happy with it staying that way. What else do we have here? Yeah, someone else confirming that a quality streamer can make a big difference, especially with a good power supply. Yeah, I've heard that. Everyone I know that's tried an expensive streamer, like a $3,000 RLAC or something like that, or what's the other one? I get them mixed up. There's two brands that they sound similar in my brain. They all say they're like, it's a difference, you know? And they all say the same thing kind of I said, like it's weird, like there shouldn't be a difference, but there is. Donald's asking, what about JL Fathom subs? I've never heard them, bro. JL Audio doesn't really, look, I'll be honest, JL Audio doesn't seem to care about their home audio side of things. Their marine division is so massive, they don't really care about home audio right now. They don't send review samples. Both JL Audio subwoofers I reviewed, I bought with my own money. I will say JL Audio was gracious enough to make their tech support available to me, answer all my questions, upgrade the plate amplifier to the most current unit. They supported me throughout the review for sure, but they made it pretty clear, like, hey, we're not sending review models currently, maybe in the future though, and they did thank me for like putting in the effort and reviewing their gear on my own dime, but they're not actively seeking more reviews. Mr. Goswami asking any suggestion for a hi-fi shop in SoCal to audition high sensitivity speakers, waiting on my Decaware amp and wanted to audition good speaker pairings with it. Absolutely, yeah. Upscale Audio is one of the biggest hi-fi dealers I've ever seen. It's a huge facility they have. And if you're in Southern California, look, there's a lot of dealers out here. There's a lot. I don't know if anyone's got a facility like Upscale Audio though. I've met their staff. They're super good people. They're cool. They're car guys too, which I love and I respect. But I would definitely say Upscale Audio if you're in SoCal. Yeah, Kevin's super cool too. They got a lot of stuff over there. What do we have for time? 115 minutes, almost 2 hours. We got 38 people watching. If it drops down to 30, I'll end the stream. So no pressure. If you want to drop off, by all means drop off. 2 hours is a long time to stream, and bar stools are not comfortable to sit in. And it looks like the questions have slowed down, so. Not seeing any questions, guys. If there's no questions, that's a stream. Yeah, I think I'm gonna wrap it up, guys. So we're almost at about the 2 hour mark. Thank you, honestly, everyone, for supporting my work. You know what I mean? I appreciate you guys. I say this all the time, like to myself and sometimes in the comments. I make content for the people that enjoy it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm never really going to change up my style. I'm never going to, because I make it for the people that watch it. If someone doesn't like the way I make content, I'm like, hey, that's all right. You know what I mean? There's other content creators out there. So I'm happy that there's enough of you guys out there that like what I do. Like, dude, I never thought I would have almost 20,000 subscribers. That's crazy to me. Dude, I remember when I used to like release a video and I get like 100 views and I'd be like, damn, 100 people watched my video. That's really cool, you know? So yeah, guys, thank you for tuning in. Next video might be 2 weeks out, honestly. I'm pretty busy lately. Next video may be 2 weeks away, but thank you for tuning in, guys. Be well. Oh, like an old man, I can't remember how to end it. Oh, that's how. Later.